Welcome to Hospitality on the Rise, the podcast about the people shaping the hospitality industry and their journeys. I'm your host, Alice Chang, founder and CEO of Culinary Agents, hospitality's go-to hiring platform. And I'm here to give you your dose of virtual mentorship. Here, we'll be sharing the stories, lessons learned, and advice from hospitality leaders who've carved out their own path to success. After all, this industry is where many get their start and go on to do incredible things. Whether you're a pro, starting out, or just love the hustle, this podcast highlights what makes hospitality extraordinary: the people. I'm so excited to have Chef Marcus Samuelsson here with us. Today, Marcus is a chef, restaurateur, author, and media personality. And I'm going to throw in fashion icon in there just for good measure.
Oh, thank you. First of all, thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
I am honored. I know how busy you are, and you're running from place to place, and it's very special to finally get to hear a little bit more about you and your career. I'm going to start with highlighting co-founder annual Harlem Eat Up Food Festival, co-chair Culinary Careers Program, frontline advisors World Central Kitchen, board member City Harvest, recurring judge on Chopped for 23 seasons. Oh my goodness! And then I cannot skip Daytime Emmy Award winner and 8 times James Beard Foundation Award winner. So I'm going to stop there. Marcus, thank you for joining us. I'd love for you to take us back onto how you got into the hospitality industry.
Well, thanks again for having me. Hospitality has been my life. It's the only job I've ever had, whether it was selling fish with my uncles back in Sweden or working with my grandmother and, pickling herring. But once I got serious about cooking, I worked in Gothenburg. That's why I grew up in Sweden, the second biggest city in Sweden. And it's a blue-collar city, so I knew pretty quickly, if I'm going to do this for real, then I got to get out of here. I got to go to another place. And I think a lot of people that doesn't come from the big city of the country always feel like, where should I go? And for me, what would make most sense would be to go to Stockholm. But I felt like might as well just go international. And I got some scholarship and internships in Japan and Switzerland and stayed for 2 years in Switzerland. And once I was in Switzerland, where I had to speak French and German, and I was in an international room and kitchen, I knew right away that this is where I want to be. I want to do it at the highest level. And that was a 3-star Michelin experience, but I had to build towards that. And it took me 5 years, but eventually I got to a 3-star Michelin restaurant and worked there.
Amazing. Can you think back to, and you've had such a storied career here, early days, one of the early lessons learned as you were in these, major international kitchens and kind of starting out in your career?
Well, there was many lessons, humility. I always thought I would start on the different stations in the kitchen. In Switzerland, I started in the garden. But I actually loved that because once I got to the entremets, the vegetable station, I knew the garden work and I knew kind of farm to table before there was even a term farm to table. Learning the craft in Austria, of pastry, learning the craft in France and Switzerland, really working with incredible craft people, but at the same time, also learning what not to do. The 2 things I never saw in our kitchen were women and people of color. And being a Black person that had been taught by majority women, I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. And why is it that there's no room in this great kitchen for women or people that look like me? Once I understood kind of what that was about, it was really an opportunity for me to say, well, when I become a chef, these are 2 sources that I will always champion and create opportunities for.
Yeah, I love that. Oftentimes you hear people and they talk about experiences they had when they were going up in their career, and there are the things that you admire and you learn from and you want to emulate and replicate, and then there are things that you question why not, and then you have the opportunity to make those changes later on. So that's great. That's great advice and observation during that time. So you also, after Switzerland, you went to France. Is that it?
Yep.
Do you speak all these languages? I'm always fascinated when we talk about, hospitality and cooking being kind of universal language. And as long as you know enough to get by, because, having that melting pot of
Sure.
cultures and languages.
I mean, I speak enough to get by. I probably speak better German than French. But, for me, it was always about there is an unspoken language in the kitchen, which is desire and listening and executing, right? You can do that in any language. And trust me, in Japan, I didn't speak any Japanese, but I knew how to listen and receive information and make it work. And I think cooking is a craft, and learning how to butcher, learning how to make things. You don't have to talk a lot. We were actually encouraged not to say anything anyway. So it wasn't so much about language, but it was also about uh, just being excited about the opportunity, excited about the chance of being in one of the top restaurants in the world.
Yeah, yeah, the universal kind of understanding of, culture of the kitchen, right? Um, so you spend time at France. At this time, were you thinking, "Oh, one day I'm gonna open, a restaurant, or I'm gonna open 15 restaurants," like you have?
I always wanted. It was always a dream for me to come back and open my own place where I just didn't know. And this is really when I'm in my early 20s, and the fact that I went international right away, I didn't limit it to it had to be in a certain city or country. I really felt like I could open this anywhere. I didn't have a timeline onto it. I just knew that at that point I had to work with the best and learn a lot. And I also worked on a cruise line, which was very important because it got me to Asia and understanding the ports of Singapore and how incredible street food in Singapore were, for example, which was not flavors that you found a lot in Europe. And it gave me a different language and appreciation. Like in Europe, we cook in this French traditional food, which is amazing. But once I started travel with the ship and I got to South America, I got to Mexico, and it just a palette of great food. It's not always in restaurants. It's actually in street corners. And that gave me a whole different vocabulary again. So I knew that obviously in the 90s, a lot of things happened. Like internet started in the mid 90s, really connected with food in the early 2000s, and people started to travel more.
Mhm.
And that was the food and the culture that I was excited about, somewhere in between street culture, street food, and fine dining.
Yeah, all the pieces are coming together now for
Yeah.
those of us who have seen, oftentimes when we'll see the headlines, we'll see you on television, we'll see all the accolades and everything, but bringing it back to how that came about, what inspired you and what you did to kind of get to where you are. That's those are the exciting stories
Well,
that
the journey is everything,
yeah.
right? The journey is this is what sets up, why Hav Mar looks the way it does, where we focus on female executives, right? It's because of the experience I had in where I didn't see women at roles as executives when I was working in Europe, right? Um, Red Rooster is an answer to all of those things as well. So my work is really becoming about you know, what I saw in my early days and how can I be a game changer in the industry? Uh, for me to have one restaurant and have great food, sure. But if you're really going to have impact, you have to have a larger impact and you have to do it in a different way. For me,
Yeah, yeah. No, and you're having an impact. I'll just I'll say from one person looking from the outside. Um at what point, so after you spent your time in France, did you come immediately over to Aquavit as an executive chef?
I did not start as an executive chef. I came as a sous chef. And I think all the people that are gritty and work hard and you get ready for something, if you stay ready, you never know when that opportunity is going to come calling. And to me, it came very early. It probably came a couple of years before I was ready. I was 23 years old. And very tragic situation happened at Aquavit. Our executive chef died. I was asked just to take over before they found a chef. And eventually um, they picked me. And I wasn't sure about it because I was like, Aquavit is a known famous restaurant in Sweden as well. And I didn't want to be the one closing it. I was intimidated, but I also knew that, hey, this is a massive opportunity. So I went for it and it paid off. It was a great experience. And we were able to grow Aquavit and to Sweden, to Japan, back to Japan and build a cafe and many things to it. And I think that's really when I At Aquavit, I really grew up. I became from being a secular chef to a part owner of something and representing Scandinavian culture was it's beautiful, great experience, but also learned about New York. So for me, it's like I feel like Aquavit is my grad school of becoming an entrepreneur, becoming a chef, learning about New York City. So I always feel I always have a lot of gratitude for my time at Aquavit.
Yeah. What would you say, if you can remember, was one of the big learning curves from moving up to that level?
Well, I mean, uh, you have to know people in a city like New York. Like my first couple of months as a chef, we got our deliveries at 12 o'clock, and we had lunch. I'm like, this is way too late. And then, mentors like Alfred Portale, George, Danielle helped me with that, so I could get my fish at 7:30 or 8 o'clock, like everybody else. You got to. It's any city, right?
Yeah.
Especially in New York, no one's going to give you
Right.
anything. And but I learned being scrappy too, right? I remember, doing cooking classes at CIA. I was basically 2, 3 years older than the students, and they loved that fact that they saw themselves in me. So I got a lot of the young, scrappy students, and among them was like, a young Richard Teresi or a young Paul Carmichael. So they came very early and super talented young kids coming working with me, and now they're game changers of American cuisine. So being every person, whatever age, whatever culture you come from, you have your disadvantage can be your advantage. You just got to figure out, okay, what's the pivotal moment?
Yeah. Yeah. We often, when we talk about these career paths and examples, is, as you mentioned earlier, prepare yourself both mentally and physically and skill wise, et cetera. When an opportunity comes across your table, even if you don't feel like you're 100% ready for it,
Yeah.
if you've been doing the work and preparing and kind of training yourself, the chances of you stepping into something and then kind of getting folks to help you and lift you up is much higher, right? And that'll give you your confidence as well.
And I would even argue there, I think that in general, women for me in our industry are sometimes overqualified, sitting and thinking about I'm not ready, doubting themselves. And what's been great with Hav Mar and working with Fariel is to see our team really glue around that and have sous chefs and line cooks that feel like they're all ready and coming in confidence. And I love that the place has really helped drive young chefs, female chefs that they now have a place, many places, but a focal point where they can express themselves and they can look up to someone like Fariel. And I love the fact that we've been able to establish that here.
Yeah, yeah. Side note, what a beautiful restaurant and what a firecracker Ariel is. And,
Yeah, she's great.
congrats on all that. It's, you know, running businesses, as you know, is difficult. Running restaurants, I think, might be more difficult. And, building a culture like that, I think is kind of the goal in general.
Yeah.
Um, so take me through Aquavit, your time, and you've grown it. Received 3-star review from New York Times during your tenure there. Were you what were you thinking about next? Like how did that come about? Were you looking for broader goals,
Yeah.
other things?
I mean, you have to evolve as a person, right? After 8, 9 years into Aquavit, I was like, okay, I love Swedish food. I love being part of Sweden and I'm in New York at the same time. But also as a as a man, as a black man coming from the continent, I felt there was a side of me that I couldn't represent at Aquavit. It just didn't. The Berbere and the notes of Africa just didn't fit in. You know what I mean? And I felt like, well, Aquavit has been such a bridge for me to come into New York. And but I think that at that point, I've said, I think Aquavit got what it needed from me, and I got as much as it needed from Aquavit. So it's like great. Like I left it in a great. We left it at a great time, and it was very important to me to also hand it over to someone that's gonna take care of it. And what Marcus and Emma has done has been absolutely amazing. So I look at that as a success from where it came from, where it is today, and how the handover was. But I wanted to evolve, and for me as a young black chef, I remember go back to the origin. You know, coming out as a young black chef, there was very few people that looked like me. And one of my goal was always how can we take people of color's journey in the industry from an anonymous to a visible one. And I needed to do that if I wanted to be part of that, I need to do that from a different place. And what better place than Harlem? What better place than Red Rooster? And to really set a vision of game changing, that's 15 years ago now. So now you see, the landscape of American chefs looks very different. I'm very
Yeah.
excited about that.
Yeah. Yeah. And you've been able to impact that from both not just the restaurant side, but then also, you have a um, very popular career. Popular may be the wrong word. You are very popular amongst the general public, right? And I feel like that plays a role too. Like you just talking about being visible and being setting an example. What better way than to do it yourself? And at a time where the industry was just evolving so dramatically, and the media and food media, right?
Yeah, but I feel also it was a missed opportunity. Like think about it. We've been telling French stories in different versions forever.
Hmm.
And I love French food and I love what France and the chefs have given me and what I've learned from France. But that was, it, food is like the World Cup. Everybody is proud of their food. Everyone's going to
Hmm.
do it a little bit differently. But we have to tell more regional, more stories that are broader. And why is it that we haven't been able to do that? But internet broke all that. And the way we started to tell stories on social media, now it's out. Now everybody wants to share. And now I think so. You either wait and see, or you actually bang the door wide open. And I think that's what's happening now and been going on for the last 10 years or so, I would say. And we're much better for it. More people are excited about food. More people want to cook. More people see their place in food media or food in general. And I think that's very positive. And American cities like New York is leading that charge, and not just New York, like America's leading that.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. As you're in this position, you have, I think, I can't keep up. I think you have 15 over 15 restaurants or business outlets worldwide. As you're building these teams, because you can't be everywhere at once, although it seems like you're everywhere at once. Um, what are some of for folks who are kind of starting out in their industry, in their careers, and maybe have a couple years under their belt, and they're dreaming about how to get to the next step, the next stage. What are some of the leadership qualities that you found commonly that stand out with some of the folks that you bring onto your teams?
I mean, you want to work with self starters. You want to work with talented people. Like I look at Chef Anthony, that is executive chef for Marcus DC. I've known Anthony for a long time. He worked with us. Right away, I knew this is an executive chef. He just needs time. And once you put someone like Anthony and support him with the stuff that he needs to learn, then every person, including myself, I had to learn a lot. Right when I was 23, 24, 25, and I was surrounded with people that helped me with bookkeeping, would help me with HR, all of those different things that I needed at that time. Uh, Anthony is such a talented chef. And then, but the restaurant and the at tomorrow that we have, the restaurant is it's a rooftop, it's room service, there's a lot of different things. So he needs support, but he's a self-starter. He's an incredible leader for his team. He's passionate about the craft. So once you have those core skills, you just got to figure out, okay, what does this person need support with? With Fariel or with Tristan, right? Tristan worked with me for years.
Uh-huh.
So right away, Tristan's commitment and passion around food, you can never doubt. He will always be a chef. So how do we support someone like unique person like Tristan and I? I've learned so much from these amazing people that I've been able to work with, whether it's Paul Carmichael, whether it's Adrian Cheatham or Tristan or Fariel. They're younger than me. They bring a new level of energy, but they all have a couple of things in common. They're self-starters. They are natural leaders, very different leaders. Anthony leads different than Fariel. Fariel leads different than Adrian.
Mhm.
But they're passionate about hospitality and their team. You have to step back and listen to them. When I started cooking, chef didn't listen to anyone. It was just chef's vision and everybody do. So I have to change and learn. And I think that we're better for it, and that's what we can, as a company, we can grow because I look at this as I'm partnering with these young chefs. They're running a business and they're becoming their own business owners with the rewards and the challenges that comes with that.
Yeah, I love that. I'm going to latch onto that because as you're kind of like the next one step up leader, right? And the challenges I think with some of the leaders these days that we hear often is like you know, it's difficult to kind of get to the point where you're comfortable enough to take a step back, right? And then realize your role is just to help your leaders lead, right? And like
Yeah,
remove,
and set a
you
vision
know,
that is clear for
mhm,
what are we doing here? What are we doing in our hub that is different than at Red Rooster or Marcus Addis with a completely different set of skill sets where it's fine dining in Ethiopia versus in New York City. But still, how can we be a leader in that part of the world? Do you know what I mean? So I think vision and mission is key. And as a leader, you have to work on that. And then you got to then orally and practically like really lead and make it clear for the team. What are the boundaries? What are the goals we should set together? And then inspire them to go and do it.
yeah, yeah. Well, simple as that. Simple as that. So,
Not
you
simple.
know,
I like
yeah,
simple, nothing is simple.
no,
No one's gonna give you anything. But I think I know like I came to the city with $300 and four roommates and were able to do it. And I feel a lot of gratitude to New York and America that they accepted me and I have a lot of gratitude to the people that I worked with all these years. And we have still a lot of things. Like we're just in the middle of launching our sauce line, Mercado sauce line, which I'm
nice.
super excited about. So as a chef, we just launched the Rise Residency, where we can give three young chefs an opportunity to part of a residency with an artist, and it's a moment to really reflect. We've been able this year, we've been able to give three cohorts that opportunity. So for me, the success means what else can we do and how else can we give value back to the industry that was not there when I was coming up.
Yeah, and you segued into that perfectly. I was just going to ask you to, or I was just going to highlight the fact that despite how busy you are running your businesses and your brand and, your brands and your personal brand, you also give back a lot and tremendously. And I've seen you over over a decade, since I've been, supporting CCAP as well. I've just watched you support it, tirelessly, and with such passion, and it's really incredible. So part of
Yeah,
the,
CCAP is an amazing
yeah,
organization, and it's not just that we give scholarship to high school student. Today, CCAP has its own business owners. It's such a success story, not just in New York. We're in 11 states. Uh, it's a place of hiring sources, a place now where the chefs calls first. And what Richard Grossman started 30 plus years ago has really been a movement that's been part of transforming um, American chefs, and it's one of the big success stories that I've been part of my life, and it given me so much joy.
yes, yes. Thank you for sharing. I was like, I didn't have a question. I just wanted to highlight the fact that. So thank you for taking running with that. So what's next for you?
Well, I mean, I think there's many things. I was just cooking with my son Zion on today's show, so
Amazing.
he's probably my biggest critic sometimes. But cooking with my kids is a lot of fun. But I'm also very very excited about launching our simmer sauce line here at the Fancy Food Show, Mercado. Which is we're gonna have three new sauces, and that's exciting. It's something that I always wanted to do: launch flavors and sauces that I've been inspired by, right? But how to do it, and it's not easy, and finding solving all of those challenges with launching a brand, which has been super exciting. This fall we have a new book coming out called Back to Green, together with Jamila Robinson from Bon Appetit. So, like, really, how to introduce superfoods to America, but how can you also include superfoods in your day-to-day cooking? So I would look at things that are in our environment that can actually, you know, add value to people's culinary life, whether they are chefs at home or chefs in professional kitchen. But we can always improve the spaces we are in through flavors and bringing people together. That's something I'm passionate about.
Yeah, I love that. With all that you've accomplished and all the accolades and all the projects, it's so nice to see how excited you are about your new
Yeah,
projects, right? This is definitely a lifestyle, and passion definitely needs to continue to be that foundation to what you do, right? Um,
yeah.
Personal question, well, not personal question, insight onto how do you keep yourself balanced, right? Or your life, in check because you have so many things going on. I'm sure a lot of people looking for a little piece of you and some of your time. What do you do?
I think it's very hard. I think it's very different for every. This is something that people have to be very personal with. What's balanced for you might not be balanced for me, and vice versa, right? And it's also something that I've learned a lot from the chefs that I'm working with. Faryal has taught me a lot about uh, schedule and how much people can put in, and where's the boundary where they can't put in anymore. Tristan, like the guys I work with have really been helpful in that bit because I go all the time. That's just how I came up, and you can't. Everybody is not built to do that. Everybody doesn't want to do that, and I think that's not negative. That's good. But I think my family's given the most balanced. Just like being around my family, being in. It's my wife Maya who really taught me that because I didn't know that. And when you come as a first generation, you just want to build. So balance is not really part of that. But as I evolved, I'm learning that, and I just think that it's an extremely personal thing, and there's no right or wrong. It's just got to work for your life and your structure.
Yeah, yeah. And how do you find inspiration to keep?
I I'm inspired by the people that I meet during my travels, and a lot of the people that I work with, and not always the executives, but actually very often line cooks and sous chefs, and just what bubbles right under the surface. I love watching a bar back become a bartender, and we've actually been part of transforming the financially for this person, but also their experiences. I think that's the beauty of our industry. It's a really upper mobility industry that you can. There is a place for you, whether you want to be a food photographer or a line cook, a bartender or a marketing person, right? Like you don't know when you're coming in as an early 20 something, but going out, you might be like, wow, this industry has given me so much. So I get a lot of inspiration from the people that I work with.
Yeah, I love that. I'm going to latch on to that because that's one of the main reasons why we do these podcasts and share these
Yeah.
stories. And culinary agents. When we talk about this isn't a really tremendous industry. It's like
Yes.
oftentimes the first job that people get.
Yes.
But the thing that you mentioned also is that you can come here. It doesn't need to be a forever thing in the beginning, but you can acquire all these skills and you can enjoy and you can give back and you'll get back. And then you can decide, do I want more? Is this might be for me long term? Now there's all these different career paths that I shouldn't say didn't exist,
No,
decades
but
ago.
it's
But
okay. I
yeah,
agree with you. And
yeah,
there wasn't clear to map out. And now through social media, you can go online and figuring out where's my tribe at? Where do I fit
yeah.
into this? And think about when real tragic things happen, like call it the pandemic, right? We showed up. Our industry
Hmm.
showed up. We can say that uh, through organizations like World Central Kitchen, but also through local charities that might not be World Central Kitchen. But I know as people in hospitality, we showed up. When everybody was talking about, oh, everybody left the city, everybody did not leave the city. Hospitality stayed and they helped out. And we know that. I'm really proud of us during moments like that because I know we're going to show up.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you to you and leaders like yourself who have forged all these different career paths and have changed the industry in a way where other career paths have, bubbled up and become much more clear so that someone can reach a point in their time here and say, "Oh, I thought I wanted to do this, but I'm not sure. What else can I do?" Well, now there's all these different options and there's examples of how people have taken those options and have done really great things for them.
But I
So,
would even say that I would say the generation before us, like when I speak to my heroes, like, I'm neighbors with Sylvia Woods, Sylvia's restaurant, or my
mhm.
mentor, Leah Chase, I mean, Leah Chase had civil rights movement meetings in her restaurant. It's a
Yeah.
whole other level that they battle
Next
for,
next
right?
level. Yeah.
Like we talk about internet and our industry looks different today. Well, they changed laws because again, no one's going to give you anything. So they didn't do that. And who did that? Majority was women of color that fundraised and was part of changing the laws, right? And they forced, so the laws got changed. So now the table is set up for my generation. Then now can set up something for you. Like, you know what I mean? So this is all a relay. And I would not be here without those laws changing.
Yep.
So I think it's very important that you celebrate and acknowledge what came before you. And like, for me, in the book before this, The Rise, we looked at Black culinary past, present, and future. And all those things are linked, because there is
Yeah.
no present future without the past.
Yes.
You
Yep.
know?
Absolutely right. A lot of history there, and so much depth, and that just adds more to just the color of how this industry is really wonderful. So thank you for highlighting that. Um, on that note, I'm going to go to quick fire.
Okay, go.
What advice would you tell your younger self?
Be passionate, work hard, and always remember Helga, my grandmother. That's the one that I'm representing still to this day.
What's your advice for someone struggling in the industry?
I looked a lot at people outside our industry, so I looked at Prince, I looked at Basquiat, I looked at a tribe called Quest. I felt like they had hit a level of excellence that inspired me, that had nothing to do with food. And sometimes you have to look outside the industry to go outside sometimes to find inspiration. That helped me in order to bring it back into what you're working with.
What's your advice for fellow hospitality leaders?
Listen to Prince.
All right, mic drop. On that note, Marcus, thank you so much for taking time to share some of your career path and your advice with us. We cannot wait to see what's next.
I would just say, to answer properly that question, say, dream big. Dream bigger than what your first dream was. Because someone out there needs what you're thinking about. And if a sweet Ethiopian chef can have an impact in this industry, so can the person that watches or listens to this, because whatever that you're thinking that might not be out there yet, that might be exactly what we need. Like, what is the new, like phone art, or what is the new so-and-so? It's up to you to go out and create that and make us aware and like, oh, shoot, I didn't know we needed that. We need it.
I love it. Now that's a double mic drop.
Yeah.
Thank you again.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate you. Thank you, guys. Peace.
Remember, success looks different for everyone in hospitality. No two paths are the same. If you have a leader or a topic you want to hear about, email media@culinaryaagents.com. Hospitality on the Rise is brought to you by Culinary Agents, connecting top talent with employers since 2012. Whether you're hiring or looking for your next opportunity, join us at culinaryaagents.com. For more inspiration, subscribe to Hospitality on the Rise and visit hospitalitycareerpaths.com, a free platform by Culinary Agents. Thanks for tuning in. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe. And if you love this episode, share it with someone who could use a little inspiration.